Welcome to the Athletes in Motion podcast, from race to recovery, with your hosts, Tom Riegel and Kenny Bailey.
Hey, Kenny, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Tom. How are you?
I'm fantastic as well. We are checking back in with Jordon. Jordon, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Awesome to have you back on again. We're, sitting on the edge of our seats, waiting to hear the news. What's coming up? So first of all, let me jump in and say, hey, thanks everybody for checking it out. Subscribe. I want to make sure I get this in the front end of the thing. We really appreciate all your comments and feedback. And make sure you subscribe in the YouTube channel. There will be a subscribe button someplace floating around. Make sure you hit that so you stay up to date, because we'll be catching up with Jordon a little bit more. And then afterwards, and we've got Elizabeth and a bunch of other great stuff coming up. So make sure you do that. So that business set aside, Jordon, we are how many weeks out now?
So we're 8 weeks out from
Okay.
the one I'm scheduled for. And I say that because, life in general, things pop up. So fortunately, I signed up for the Ironman that I'm registered for early. So I have a guarantee that I can swap to any other one in the year if I want. So there's a potential of a reschedule. I haven't fully determined that yet or not. But currently with the schedule is 8 weeks out.
So this is a new development. Last time we left our hero, he was midnight bike riding. So you're
right.
What's going on what was the nugget that started to say, hey, I may not be able to do this 8 weeks out, or maybe I should go to another one, or maybe this isn't the right one?
It really is schedule. So my daughter is a competitive cheerleader and just started back school, and there actually is a cheer competition the weekend of the Ironman. So if I did it, I'd have to go alone. And not really having that support system with me is really making me just think I don't want to do that. But
and that's tough, right? Because I know I've got a couple of friends that they do their races separate from their families. I don't know how they do it. They get into their mode, they do their thing. Yeah, you do it, but you do it with support. You do it with.
She's got bad juju. Every time my wife shows up, I either crash or DNF, so she's not allowed. So
you tell me that. Yeah,
it's interesting, because I'm used to having my wife at. I think she's been at 98 or 99% of all my events, so it's kind of nice having that support system there.
With that. Are there others that you're contemplating later in the year? What is your criteria for figuring out what you want to do?
Really, it's just date. So I'm looking at all the others, and the rest of the year, the only one that could potentially work is the Haines City in Florida, the Ironman 70.3 Florida, which is in December, actually. So give me a little bit longer to continue to prepare and get. But it doesn't have a river swim. It's actually a unique lake swim. It's in an M shape. So yeah, it's an M shape.
I think I saw that.
Those are
They're
interesting.
doing that in Nice. The championship race in Nice is that same way.
It's the same way. Yeah. Okay.
I guess that's a new thing to do.
In a lake in Florida. Is that safe?
Well, that's a good question.
All the lakes that I've swam in Florida, which is one,
all of them had the end of one,
had the do not swim and a picture of a reptile on it. We still swam and did the race, but it made me think twice. So
there was an article that came out also, I think, at Georgia Lake. Some guy got some brain-eating amoeba or bacteria from a Georgia lake. So they're all going to do that. When it comes to swim, do you feel strong in it, in that you don't really care what body of water is, or does it make a big deal because you really did one of that down the river?
So I feel stronger in swim than I do my run. However, they compile on each other. So if I have a shorter swim, that gives me more time for my run in the end.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Whereas with the river, I would have the current. And even though I feel okay with my swim, that would help out to give me more time at the end for my run.
Okay.
Okay. That makes sense.
But since you have a longer training time, would that help sort of offset that so you can?
That's the other thing. Exactly.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. And weather also in December in Florida, you're going to have a much, hopefully, knock on wood. I don't know the way the climate's working. It's still probably 102. But
102 or 45, one of the two.
It'll be
there's
one
no
or
in
the
between on this one.
Oh.
It's sort of like the Sacramento. You get a bomb cyclone or 100 degrees. You pick one, right? So
Yeah.
it's just sort of.
So with that, how's the training coming then?
I mean, overall, it's going well. Still struggling with just life in general between schedules and work, and I had to do some travel with work. So then go to a city that I don't know where a pool's at or various things like that. Just life in general, and it's just always a challenge. Every day is a struggle to make sure I'm continuing with the program and trying to keep my coach from fussing at me.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
So.
Do you find that one of the things to try to do, and I try to do this and I don't do it well all the time, especially on business travel, but the idea is that you sort of like, maybe if I can't do anything, at least I can try to eat better or try to do some level of thing. Like if I can't do something physical, maybe, not order, if it's on the company dime more than, you can get a drink, you can grab a dessert, maybe just not do that. Do you try to compensate in some ways, or is it, you just allow yourself to say, look, these 3 days are going to be garbage and kind of reset and go?
Depends on the trip. I've done
Okay.
both routes. The closer I get, the more I'm restricting myself just overall in general, whether on travel or not. But.
Yeah.
So how did you handle this last business trip? What were some of the things that you did to offset the training or to make up the training at that point?
It was really just as Kenny was saying, watching what I was eating.
Mm-hmm.
And the trip before that, I did not do that at all. It was bad.
Yeah.
But this last one, I wasn't able to work out, but I did get to watch what I eat. And didn't eat over, didn't have the desserts, didn't have the bad drinks or things like that. But
wasn't able to get the training in.
Wasn't able to get the training in.
Okay. That's always been a struggle for business travel. I mean, sometimes you get lucky and the hotel has a half decent fitness center or something that you can at least get some treadmill work in or something like that. But then sometimes schedules you need sleep.
Yeah.
You still need sleep, and probably
breakfast
if you
meetings,
get some
you
sleep
eat all day,
till late, and then so probably sleep's probably more important than trying to stuff a workout in there.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is I have a large conference I'm going to the week before. Let's see, 2 weeks out from the event. So really, my really last strong training week, I would be at a conference all week in San Francisco.
Outstanding. Yeah.
So it sounds like if we were just to say it, it sounds like you may be moving this thing to December.
I'm leaning towards that way.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
The hard thing, I guess the thing that I can see would be difficult is if you haven't fully made that decision yet and you're trying to, there's a beautiful kind of pressure to your point when you're 8 weeks out, right? It's like you don't skip things, right? To your point, you're like, hey, I better eat appropriately. I need to do my midnight, if it's got to be midnight, it's got to do that. So you have the foot on your pedal, on the gas pedal, trying to get to that thing. When you know, like, hey, there's that inkling of, I may have to move this. I may have to do this. Is it difficult to keep that foot on the gas pedal to say, well, I need to keep going until I get that fork in the road, until I make that decision? Do you feel like you're sort of in no man's land where do you feel that pressure, or is it sometimes difficult to go, well,
Yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to keep in the back of my mind that the one I'm registered for is the one I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it is, it's okay. How do I continue this? And then you have various projects come up. And so like I said, every day is a struggle. I think I mentioned in the last one, it's not, you sign up for an Ironman and all of a sudden your schedule's clear and you get to just train. You have to figure out where to do it and how to prioritize, and it's a challenge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think the difference between, you're stepping up, from Olympic distance to a half Ironman, right? And
Right.
that's, to a certain extent, you can't hide on some of these things, right? It's going to be a long day. It's either,
Yes.
it's going to be 8 hours, right? It's going to be a day. And to try to hide from that sometimes is difficult to do. Where if you can do an Olympic, yeah, you need to train for it. But like you said, you can miss a couple of days here, you can miss a couple of days there. It may be a struggle, but it's not going to be, this is going to be, in the water at 7, you're not going to be done till, 3. Right. So there's no hiding. How are you, what is going to be your final sort of trigger when you say, okay, this is it? At what point do you give yourself, is there a time? Like, if I don't feel better by the end of this month, that's it, I'm going to do it. Or is it, to your point, my daughter's got a thing, I have a business meeting, it's starting to stack. What's going to be your final sort of?
I actually set a goal for myself to make the decision by the end of this week, so that I can just the mindset of which one I'm doing, because
Okay.
I mean, at that point, 7 weeks out, I need to be working out every day, and increasing that workout. So the end of this week is what I'm gaming for. And and I think I said before, if I get a DNF, I get a DNF. However, I've put so much time, energy, money, effort into this, it would be extremely disappointing.
Sure.
It's not the end of the world. There's always another one, but it would be disappointing. So
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think part of I think you're making the right call, right? Which is you're trying to balance family, you're trying to balance work, you're trying to balance, those things. And yes, this is important to you, but at the same time, family, work, everything else, right? So hopefully you don't make work everything else, but we're going to assume you're nice and it's family, work, and then everything
It's
else.
family
But,
first, right?
So I think that then I think we should, we'll check back with you next week, obviously, because we want to know what that decision is. And then the question becomes, okay, so if you're past, like you officially call it, you probably need to let off the throttle a little, because your training is going to be delayed. Not terribly let off the throttle, but you don't need to do the 75-mile bike ride, or the 60-mile bike ride this weekend. You may have to do it. Do you have a sense, does your work, family's going to be family, because your family's going to start being headline, like your kids are going to be in school, and there's going to be a bunch of cheerleading camps coming up and a lot of stuff going on after September. Does your work have a cyclical nature to it, that you feel like it's that part of your life will allow you to have a little bit more latitude to train? Or is it going to be?
no,
it's a crapshoot either way, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't think work would change at all.
How does your family react to this stuff? Do they support you no matter what? Or is there, I don't want to get you in trouble, like, are they making you do the cheerleading camp? Blink twice.
No, they absolutely, my wife told me it was, fully my decision on what I wanted
That's
to
good.
do. Yeah. So, and she's disappointed that she wouldn't be able to come to be there to support me if I did stay with Augusta.
Yeah. So, well, I think on that note, Tom, we should get this out, and then we'll do a quick follow-up with you, and then figure out what we're gonna do. Was that a Jurassic Park cup you just drank out of?
It absolutely is a Jurassic
All
Park.
right, I was just like, geez.
That is a very large coffee cup.
Yeah, it is.
It has water or coffee.
And it has days.
So tomorrow I have an appointment with my doctor, and I get to tell him I only drink 2 cups of coffee a day. That equates to a full pot, but we're not going to mention
details.
That.
Yeah. I know. I found out our Yeti cups can hold a whole bottle of wine, which is terrible. So it's just I'm having one Yeti cup of wine. That's it.
Just having a cup of wine. That's
just
it.
a cup of wine. So
right.
Well, Jordon, we appreciate you being honest about this. I mean, you are living the struggle that I think most professionals live, right? Which is, I've got a life, I've got responsibilities, I have things I need to do. Somehow I got to fit this thing in, because I know. And we've talked about this before, right? These are, when you get across the line, there's nothing like that feeling of getting across the line. There's that sense of accomplishment. But at the same time, you got to figure out how to balance that. And, I think the last time we talked, when you were doing midnight rides, I was like, dang, that's some commitment. I know you probably didn't want to do that, but that's what you needed to do. So, we're anticipating or anxious about how that decision gets made. And if you do make that decision, how does it change? What do you do? What does your coach have, that you need to change? How are those things going to do? And how can is again, figure out those creative ways to try to get this stuff, live in two worlds at the same time. How do I do a full-time job, a full-time parent, and a part-time workout? Right.
Right.
So
And if I did change, I would try to get scheduled for some local events because I really need more open water experience. I know the Anderson Beach on a Friday is a big thing, but I'm in Spring Hill. So to get there on Friday morning is just not possible.
Yep.
yeah.
So I've got to get some more open water experience, especially if I'm going to swim a M in a lake in Florida.
Or we just move your house. So we just think some
Always
Lingsville's nicest time of year.
Always an option.
So you're just thinking the wrong way, right? Honey, here's what we're doing. I need to be closer to a lake.
Yeah.
Change my way of thinking. Yes.
Yeah.
There
I
you
like
go. I'm
that.
kidding.
I like that. So awesome. So we'll be checking in. This will probably post up next week. So that'll be technically 7 weeks out. You will have made your decision at that point, but we're not going to be leaking it to everybody, because then we'll catch up with you a couple weeks after that, and we'll get the lowdown on what's happening, where you're at, all of that fun stuff. So make sure everybody is subscribed so you can follow along. We appreciate all your feedback, all your thoughts, all your questions. Keep them coming. Let us know. And Jordon, thank you so much.
Yeah,
we
thanks,
appreciate you sharing your story with us. We're having a good time following along. So, and for everybody, we'll catch you next time.